every chick, especially not know nothing, be talking about, oh yeah, I hit that. No,
and it's plenty of nothings.
No
out
boot
there.
bottom.
You know what I'm saying? And
Ooh,
you
baby,
now you got that up on me, and I got to circle back around and maybe see you again one day. But like, for real, what was you thinking about? That's why I don't drink.
Would you ever?
No smoke, don't drink. Never have.
You don't
Neither
do
one.
that.
Because I ain't never finna let my
Well, you're no fun.
My garden. No.
Would
no.
you
I got some.
Would you ever make a video? Would you ever make a video of you making pizza?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I'm a chef.
Video?
Come on, son.
Yeah, we get. Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, when I was younger, yeah.
Tossing the dough and everything.
Man, look.
Come on.
Let me tell you something.
All right.
Chopping salad.
Yeah.
Not tossing salad, but
video?
just chopped salad.
You should put that. You should leak that on the internet. Set some records. I mean,
I'm out. I'm out on that.
I'm just saying.
Chris, you didn't make no videos when you was younger.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit. We've assembled an unmatched roster of talent, topics, and opinions designed to reflect the heartbeat of the city.
I am going to start up a business that involves tours of the city, the nightlife, different neighborhoods, and just people coming into the city and showing them what Detroit has to offer, and also the hidden gem. What type of advice would you give an individual like me stepping into the field?
You're almost like being a concierge to tourists that come into the city. I think it's a great idea. It requires a lot of research. Because if you're going to do that, if you're going to turn people on to everything that's going on in the city, you have to be aware of everything that's going on in the city. But anyway, I hope that helps a little bit.
You are, we are, and forever will be the voice of Detroit. If the conversation is hot and the lines are jammed, give us a try at 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601. That's 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601.
910 Superstation is off the chisane.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit, and we want to hear what you have to say by any means necessary. Area sensitive to the African American community.
Make sure you join us on what station?
910 AM the Superstation.
910 AM.
910 AM. On 910 AM Superstation.
910 AM Superstation, Metro Detroit's only African American based talk radio station. Be sure to catch Doing the D with Alexander Zonchek right here on 910 AM Superstation.
And you know what that means? Lots of cool stuff. Hey, if you love gospel and jazz and Motown cruises and holiday festival concerts in Monroe, we've got it all right here for you.
I want to say thank you for all you do, all you give us. We, your fans, we just love you. And you know,
I appreciate that, Phyllis. Thank you so much. It's uncomfortable to get compliments to do something that you love doing so much, but I appreciate it.
The voice of Detroit, Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. 910 AM Superstation gives you the flip side, the real side. This is our side.
3, 2, 1.
You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station. The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of 910 AM Superstation or Adele Media. You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show, conservative political radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. That's what it is. It's the Wayne
And good morning, Detroit. This is Wayne Bradley on the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 AM, your superstation. We've got a lot to talk about on this Friday as we wrap up a long week here. We're going to talk a little bit more about the local politics. We're going to talk a little bit about Senator Young and what's going on over here at his office. Water bill need to get paid. I guess the water's back on now, from what I've heard. Said there was some kind of confusion on who was to pay what. We're going to talk about the mayor's race some more, as if there really is a mayor's race. We're going to talk about talk about what's going on with that. I mean, I think that Coleman Young might be setting himself up for down the road, and maybe he should have ran for city council or something in the first place. But we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, on the national scene, President Trump, who is stepping in now to cut off Obamacare payments to subsidies. Yesterday, him and Rand Paul came together and announced a signing where he is going to increase competition amongst the healthcare components, and that is the plan to lower the cost. He's ending the subsidies, which is a very, very big deal, and he's also opening up competition. And this is working with Rand Paul, basically since President Trump said he's working around a stalled Congress. It's to offer alternatives, and I think that that's exactly what he's doing. He's basically putting the onus on Congress to get something done. But this plan is calling for a plan that will let employers band together and offer coverage across state lines. And like I said, this is an effort to, as Congress stalls, to overhaul the whole Obamacare platform. So Donald Trump is getting to work. He's not playing around. He also made some key warnings, I guess, to say to Puerto Rico that we won't be here forever, which kind of set some people, giving people the wrong vibe. But I think what he's trying to do is there is leverage in this whole situation with Puerto Rico. I think that you're going to see a lot of private investment because someone's going to have to buy that debt. I know that sounds cruel in the way Trump said it. Maybe he had people thinking that way, but he is correct in the sense that there are some financial remedies that are going to have to be done to get Puerto Rico back on track. Now, a lot of people would say, why is he bringing that up now? Well, I think that the problem is that, he doesn't want to get in a situation where it just becomes pouring money into a situation without getting the financial situation taken care of. We've also got some big news. Bernie Sanders is coming to Detroit. He'll be here later this month for the Women's Convention, and it's supposed to be over 3,000 women, a bunch of activists. And I've seen some of my liberal Democrat friends get a little frustrated. They are mad, I guess black women in particular that I've seen making the comments about, I can't believe we're bringing Bernie Sanders to Detroit when he's part of the reason that Hillary lost. Well, I say, people, if you're mad about that still, be mad at Hillary. Don't be mad at Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders is at least honest about who he is, a socialist, someone who wants to continually, he wants to change the way America's done completely. But Hillary Clinton and her team are still looking for folks to blame on this. And I think it's very unfortunate. They're still looking for people to blame. We'll talk a little bit more about Harvey Weinstein. A lot of people think that the only reason we're picking on him, people on my side of the aisle, is because he's a Republican. But what I will say, if Harvey Weinstein was a Republican, he would have never got this far in the game, being the kind of what appears to be predator that he is. And he's the kind of powerful predator, he is rumored to have had basically allowed for sexual harassment in his contract with the company that he helped co-found, which tells you a lot right there. It means a lot of different people knew exactly what was going on. And because he was a powerful businessman, that he was able to almost essentially work that into his contract, work that into his deal. And so there's been multiple women now. We're talking over 20 women that have come forward with all different kind of allegations, similar to the way what happened to Bill Cosby. But the difference is right now is that Harvey Weinstein has checked into a rehab clinic in Europe. Now, I wonder if he's going to even come back ever to America, considering all the legal ramifications and legal investigations he's got going on right now. There was rumors that I guess it was on TMZ that the police had been called out to his house. His daughter feared that he was willing to hurt himself. But I think he'll be fine. This man has been like this for a very long time. And in Hollywood, it seems to be this part of the pervasive culture that the powerful men can kind of do whatever they want to do. Everything's on the buffet. That's on the buffet table of life for these kind of gentlemen. And so it was actually in this contract that he was allowed to, he could sexually harass people as long as he shelled out the money, and that was good enough for the company. This is what it said in this contract. It says if he gets sued for sexual harassment or any other misconduct that results in a settlement or judgment, all Weinstein has to do is pay what the company's suit, what they're paying out, along the fine, and he's in the clear. According to the contract, if Weinstein treats someone improperly in violation of the company's code of conduct, he must reimburse TWC for the settlements or judgments. Additionally, you will pay the company liquidated damages of $250,000 for the first instance, $500,000 for the second instance, $750,000 for the third instance, and $1 million for each additional instance. Meaning that who knows where he was at in terms of the instances. He was willing to pay up to $1 million every time he got in trouble, just to cover himself and to make the company whole again. It's pretty crazy. So this is the kind of things we're dealing with in Hollywood. Now, I want to point out to you again, personally, I think it's disgusting, but I'm not picking on him because he's a Democrat. I'm picking on him because there's more than one issue on this. He's still being treated better than what happened to Bill Cosby, with all the allegations he went through. But this man was given the red carpet in America. Was it Sasha, the oldest daughter, Malia Obama, actually interned with this man last year? Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't send my 18-year-old daughter to go intern with this creep. And I'm sure the Secret Service and people like that who do this kind of research before they would send the president's daughter, they had to have some kind of idea of this stuff. But it's pretty crazy that he would have that built into his contracts, that he'll cover his own issues in terms of the fines and the suit. But this is how crazy America is, and in particular Hollywood. And I feel like you're going to start seeing almost a Catholic church-style purging or revelations of different powerful men in Hollywood using their position of power and taking advantage of these women. And I don't think this is anything new. This is just a different era where everything gets to the news. Everything is a potential news story. So, it's a little bit different here. But again, if this was if this is Bill Cosby, he's being treated differently. This man is already boarded to his private plane and is in Europe now, getting the attention that he needs, I suppose. And there's also investigations on the other side of the pond anyway, so he might not totally be in the clear of this whole situation, because it sounds like he has harassed women across the globe. And I just don't understand, is he that good of a businessman, or is this just one of these things that's taken care of because he is the rich and the powerful? And so we've got people already calling in here at 5:15 in the morning. If you want to talk about it, give me a call, 313-209-9000. Again, that's 313-209-9000. And we're going to take our first call. We're going to take Tony on the line. Tony, thanks for calling in.
Good morning. First-time caller.
Thank you for calling in. I appreciate it. Hi, Tony.
Great. This is the first time I heard your show as well.
Well, thank you for listening in.
Right. So I wanted to know if someone in a situation as, they felt intimidated by Harvey Weinstein, or maybe they've heard rumors about him, or someone like that in a job situation.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to the spice shop, and especially in a hotel room where, he probably has anti-spy stuff in his offices, but in a hotel room, they recorded him. Would that be admissible? in your opinion?
In different states, it's different laws. And I think in New York, where that one tape had been taken, as long as one person has knowledge, so if the person that's taking, who's doing the recording knows, I guess that's admissible. In the case with Harvey Weinstein, it was no crime committed on that tape, but you could clearly hear him pressuring this young lady to come into his room for 5 minutes, and he's like, don't mess up your career over 5 minutes. I just want you to see something, blah, 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 blah. And apparently, he was exposing himself and doing all kind of other inappropriate stuff, but it was set up by his assistant who was a female who had built the relationship up with this other person. And that sting that they showed, it showed that this was a police activity, that they had sent someone out there to do that. And at the end of the day, the police, even after that sting, where they felt they had the provocation to try to do this, they never brought charges against them. So that just tells you how high up the chain that Harvey, Weinstein was in terms of his reach. And I mean, that to me, he's an individual situation. I just think it was alarming to see all these actresses, Gwyneth Paltrow and folks of that nature speaking up, 10, 15, 20 years later, which means they didn't say anything at the time because they wanted to advance their careers. And so I think that in that kind of environment, how many women still aren't going to say anything? You know what I mean? And I think that's a tougher situation. It just seems to me between that and the Bill Cosby scenario, a lot of these women didn't speak up to a lot later on. But what I will say with the Harvey Weinstein scenarios that you've got a lot of prominent women who probably wouldn't have wanted that to get out there in the first place. Now they're stepping up. So you gotta wonder how valid and what the validity is of all that. If all these different women who didn't want their name in it and now they're speaking up, shows you kind of the reach or the power, the influence that Harvey Weinstein, possessed. And so,
did you hear the story about his brother may have leaked information to was it the New York Times?
Yeah, well, somebody put that out there, and it sounds like that. As with anybody who's a big time Hollywood executive, he has friends, and then he has enemies.
Enemies,
and so somebody helped put that out there, and there's also rumors now that, interestingly enough, that Jay-Z is thinking of putting in the offer to buy Harvey Weinstein's shares in his own company that he helped founded. So I think that's an interesting development, and big ups to Jay-Z for getting to that level where he could offer to buy out Harvey Weinstein's stock in that company. I mean, I think that's a big move for the culture.
It's awesome. I would love to see more celebrities come together and do some economic development in, some of the, like Detroit, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I know they tried many years ago with the casinos, and I forgot the project that Stevie Wonder, Michael Jackson.
Yeah, Michael Jackson and Don Barton. Yep.
Mhm. Yeah, I would love to see that, or even like some type of community efforts to come together and develop businesses in urban areas, and especially by houses. I would love to see that as well.
Yeah, it seems that there's definitely more philanthropic interest. If you would like to see more of our urban artists, rappers, and athletes get more involved in that kind of development, I think that that is going to be key. A lot of our minority businesses, their biggest challenge is access to capital. And I think that if you can get some more of these celebrities and, like a Big Sean here in Detroit or, people like that, I think that you have a lot better chance of doing some, investing in these communities. I got to ask you this, Tony. What did you think of, did you hear Eminem's freestyle on Donald Trump on the BET Awards by any chance?
Only small excerpts. I heard it discussed more than actually heard what he said.
Okay.
I'm gonna pull up YouTube and check it out though. But I heard like little because I don't know did he swear or did he?
Oh yeah, it was definitely some cussing in it. You know they don't have too many Eminem.
Of course.
Eminem tracks without any cussing in it. But I think that Eminem to me, I was telling somebody because there was a lot of people calling me yesterday. Obviously, when did you think about him? I said, well, anybody who's a celebrity, Eminem. How many celebrities has Eminem dissed over his rap career? And I think
too many to count.
Right. So I just look at it like, the amazing thing to me about the relationship between Donald Trump and hip hop, up until he became president, there was love from the hip hop community about being Donald Trump because he was getting money. And that's what rappers like to rap about, being the black. I mean, it was a song called The Black Trump. I mean, these guys emulated that. They didn't necessarily love him or anything but they just said, it's nothing wrong being fly, getting money.
His money.
Yeah, and so now that he's become president, it's interesting to see some of these guys make him a target. And interestingly enough, guys like P. Diddy and 50 Cent, who all know Donald Trump personally, 50 Cent said that Donald Trump offered him $500,000 to do outreach on his behalf during the presidential campaign, and 50 Cent said that he was glad that he turned it down. But the point being, these guys, Russell Simmons, all these guys were friends with Donald Trump, and that's why I think I've had such a hard time.
Did business.
Yeah, well, business, but if you listen to Russell Simmons, he said that they had a personal relationship, that he would stay at Trump's houses and in Florida, and they had a personal relationship, and so that's the part for me where I have an issue when they always try to say, "Well, Donald Trump is racist." I've always had a hard time. I was like, well, he wasn't racist up until last year. Like I never heard anybody really. They'll be like, "Oh, well, what about this?"
Maybe they chipped him. Maybe they chipped him.
I don't know. I don't know what happened. Well, I think now,
that comes out of his mouth is so ridiculous, man.
Well, I mean, I think some of it, I think and I've listened to people that actually have worked with him say sometimes you have to focus on what he's doing and not exactly what he's saying, because you can get so caught up in that that you're not paying attention to that.
It's a distraction.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you got to wonder, is he distracting us for a reason? Or is this just part of the personality?
Of course he is.
What do you think the reason? What do you think? Why?
Playing.
What do you think he's playing games?
He's playing chess. I actually think he's playing chess.
So you're actually not one of the people that would disparage him. You think he's smart and he's thinking ahead of the game, while he's distracting us about one thing.
No, I think the people who support him are ignorant.
All of them, or do you just think some of the people are?
Well, depending on the reason why they support him.
Right.
Because I'm pretty analytical, left brain, and I analyze things. I don't just I read between the lines. I look pretty deep. So I've got a myriad of reasons why I don't like him. And would never support him. I mean, I could just
go ahead. No, let me know. I want to know. It's 5:20 in the morning. I love to hear the reason.
Okay. Okay. Number one. The senator, Republican senator, who said that he runs the White House like
a reality show.
Like a reality show, and that I think a president should be presidential. I think he should be up on issues. I think he shouldn't just say ridiculous things like Frederick Douglass is doing. I hear he's doing great things. I mean, come on, how obtuse is that?
I think sometimes when he's just talking, he's just talking.
I don't even think his wife likes him.
Oh, goodness. Come on, Tony. Well,
no, really. Hey, have you ever taken psychology and studied body language?
I've taken a psychology class when I was at Michigan State. It was a while ago. But you went to
MSU?
Yes, ma'am. I sure did.
Go Green. That game was...
Go White. Wasn't that a beautiful game? I need to play the Michigan State. You made me play the Michigan State fight song again. I started the Monday morning off.
Hall.
Did you? I stayed in Acres.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what else I think? I think we need to start financial literacy at an early age for our children.
I agree, Tony. I have a nonprofit organization that works on trying to help kids out and teaching them how to, mock invest in stocks, savings.
That's great.
Because to me, that is a big, and that's the big key is that a lot of kids from other environments, they do have an understanding of financial literacy.
I tutor children in reading and math, and sometimes I helped a neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
She was struggling with some stuff, but she's going to WC3D. And guess what paper I helped her get a 100A on, whatever they do nowadays. I'm kind of old. It was on Henrietta Lacks. And, I didn't write it for her, but I just helped her and, edited and, corrected some stuff. But she read the book, and I read the book, and, man, that's such a good feeling. And I just think we all need to do what we can where we are, whenever we have a chance to.
Well, I appreciate that. You're definitely right. And I appreciate you calling in and giving some insight this morning, especially at 5:15.
Well, thanks for giving us some time.
Oh, I appreciate.
Thanks for giving me the time.
I appreciate it. Thank you for calling in. You have a great weekend, Tony. And we're on every morning, 5 to 7 a.m. And on Sundays, I'm here.
Not up this early.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, you actually helping a brother out this morning. But even on Sundays, we're here from 1 to 3. So give us a check-in as well then, okay?
Okay, take care.
All right, have a good weekend. All right, so Tony was giving us a call, and I always appreciate calls this early in the morning, helping things. We talking about all the different issues in the city of Detroit and nationally. So if you want to call in, give me a call at 313-209-9000. Wake up, Detroit. Wake up with Wayne Bradley. I like that. Wake up with Wayne Bradley. So, before I got a couple more minutes before I go to break here. I'm going to only spend a few moments on this because I don't think it's worthy of that much time. Senator Coleman Young had his water cut off yesterday at the office. Now, it was restored pretty quickly, again, highlighting the efficiency now that Mike Duggan and his team have when because back in the day, if your water got cut off, it wasn't restored within an hour. So, again, it kind of is highlighting, even in that kind of scenario, showing how things have changed over the Duggan administration and Senator Coleman Young. Now, I would have said if I would have been an advisor to Coleman Young, I would have told him to run for city council. Build your way up and be part of the ground floor of changing the way the politics are done. There is a component that Duggan has missed in terms of the neighborhoods and the communities. That is a fair criticism, but there's only so much he can do time at a time, and I get that. So that's a fair criticism to say that the neighborhoods, but I will say the neighborhoods, my mom still lives in the neighborhood, and her grass, the island that she lives on, you have the middle of the boulevards, that's been cut now. Lights are cut on. Now, I will give some of that credit to my governor, Governor Snyder, who has helped essentially clear the path for Mayor Duggan. He has cleared the path and made it a lot easier to navigate. But Duggan's done a good job since then, and he's installed what I consider confidence in the private sector to make them come back to invest in Detroit. There is this big deal right now, obviously, to bring in Amazon, led by Dan Gilbert, who I won't call him the real mayor, but he's the man behind the mayor that's making things go. That is what you need here in Detroit. You need a mayor that instills confidence in the private sector. Now, you will get these guys, these detractors that'll say it's because he's white. Well, guess what? There were black mayors that instilled confidence in private investment, and there were some that haven't. I think that a lot of people don't understand that probably Dennis Archer was the best to do that. But Kwame Kilpatrick had reasonable trust of of the corporate America until he got in trouble. I think that he had presented himself in a way that he's part of the reason that Dan Gilbert is where he's at today. It was because of his recruiting of Dan Gilbert and selling Detroit to people like Dan Gilbert that he won't get a lot of the credit for that. But Kwame Kilpatrick was part of the reason that a guy like Dan Gilbert gave up everything he had in Livonia and came back and invested in Detroit. Now he's probably the biggest investor in the city of Detroit, and he's rapidly recruiting, going after Jeff Bezos and Amazon. And I think that he has a natural advantage because these are the people he does business with anyway as a multi-billionaire and mogul. So I think that it's going to be interesting watching this recruiting process. I think that if we don't get Amazon, the biggest reason will be because we don't have mass transit, which will continue to be an issue here in the state of Michigan. But we're gonna go to the break, and we'll be back in a minute, and we'll talk some more about some of these issues. You're listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 AM, your superstation.
Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know.
Every weeknight at 9 p.m. is something new and something fresh.
This is Todd Corser, and I want you to check out my show. Listen in and call every week as we explore government and hot topics. Tune in, raw and uncut.
This is attorney Michael Schwartz at 910 AM Superstation, and you can hear me every Tuesday night starting at 9 p.m.
Hello, Detroit. This is attorney Crystal Crittenden, and please tune in to my new show, The Truth Matters, on 910 AM Superstation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Mitchell, your host of Mind Your Business. Listen to my show live every Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m.
I'm Reverend Maya Lisa Reynolds, inviting you to listen to Mama Maya Speaks Friday evenings from 9 until 11 p.m. discussing education, motivation, and inspiration on Superstation 910 AM.
Different names, different voices, but the same energy. 910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. 910 AM Superstation. We're bigger and better than ever and growing daily.
I'm Dr. Taylor. This is my inaugural show. Just a few things about me. I'm happy to be here to be part of the Superstation team. This program, we want to talk about addiction, which is a really broad subject. It covers a whole lot of things. I ask you to call in if you want to talk to me on the air about anything. We have online Sandra.
You have been my mentor for years. I look up to you, and I talk about you all the time to people. I think that what you've done proved to other people that they can do whatever they want to do with their life. And that's helped me get back up too, because I was an alcoholic at one time, and I've been sober for 12 years on September 15th.
910 AM is the gold standard for talk radio. .910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit. We've got it all. The news.
I don't know if you saw the paper today, but Wayne State University classes have started. They only had 87 DPS, Public Schools Community District students, enroll out of over 2,700 people.
Wow.
The sports.
So let's get back to baseball. And so there we have the Detroit Tigers giving away some of their best players, even the young ones, the prospects that have established themselves as being outstanding. Now, we got a couple left. I'm just waiting to see when they go.
Activist.
Now, that's where we're stopping. Okay, so are you talking to a white man at that point?
I'm talking to a man.
But then you're also a woman talking to a man.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to point out.
Which can sometimes be an even bigger issue.
This is Radio Our Way, the Detroit way. If great programming and pure excitement is what you want, the Saturday lineup with 910 AM is what you need.
Arise and shine, for your light is come.
You're listening to Dr. Billy Taylor. I'm here every Saturday morning from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m.
This is Horace Sheffield, the third host of On the Line. Tune in every Saturday morning from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m.
This is Adolph Mongo, Detroit in black and white from 10 a.m. to 12.
Hi, I'm Thaddeus McCotter, your host for Freedom Asylum, every Saturday, noon to 2.
Good afternoon. It's after 2 o'clock. This is Kerry Leon Jackson.
Guess what? You're in Chuck's Closet. I'm Chuck Bennett. Welcome to the party.
Perspectives with Christine Beatty. Join us 5 p.m.
This is Reverend W.J. Rideout III with Talk the Truth.
Wade McCree every Saturday night from 9 to 11.
I'm Malik Shabazz. This is the Get Up Stand Up Show. We're on 9:10 a.m.
It's right here on 9:10 a.m. Superstation, the voice of Detroit.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up. It's the Wayne Bradley Show.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show here on 9:10 a.m. Your Superstation. Wake up, Detroit. We've been talking about a few different issues here. We were just finishing talking about the local election and the race and the things that are going on there in the city of Detroit. And again, I think that moving forward, you know, if Detroiters, they do deserve options in the mayor's race, but it shouldn't be a good choice and a not so good choice. And again, I think that like I've said before, the Mayor Duggan has done a artful and political, just a great job of making sure any of the most qualified black men that could run against him are on his team. You just can't, you can't beat that. And so I think that it's been very interesting to watch that. I think that if you're not paying attention to that, you're missing political gamesmanship one-on-one. He brings in all the guys that could potentially be an issue. So I think that that is a big deal. So let's talk a little bit more about this healthcare situation that President Trump finds himself in right now. He said that he's going to talk with the Secretary of Labor to consider expanding access to association health plans, which could allow employers to form groups across state lines and offering coverage. That has been one of the things that Republicans have talked about for a while in terms of how do you improve and lower the cost of health care. I think that is one of the things that for the people that are paying, the high cost of it now are just exorbitant. And it's because, let's just be honest, folks, you're paying for people that aren't paying. So, of course, the people that are paying are going to pay a little bit more. Somebody's got to pick up that slack. They might say, oh, it's subsidies. Well, guess what? Someone's got to pay for those subsidies. So the expansion of those associated health plans could be big news for a lot of these businesses, contractors and different groups like that the costs are extremely high, makes it hard to do business, makes it hard to expand business. And I think that President Trump, he's in a tough situation. Again, the Republican Party, we are the big tent, so there's going to be compelling different ideas on how to improve health care and what different, like I've said right now, the Republican Party in terms of the House is probably, you have 1/3 what they consider the moderates, and maybe those are just your fiscal conservative or your, moderates, and then you have your fiscal conservatives, and then you have your more far right guys and your Liberty Caucus, which don't believe that there should be any subsidies, don't believe really the government should be involved in health care. So you have so many different folks that you have to do the checks and balances with it. President Trump has just said, I'm going to start doing what I can with my pen. And it's interesting because that's kind of like what President Obama did a lot in terms of executive orders, and that's a lot of what Trump has done, has been undoing a lot of the executive orders that President Obama had put in place. A big portion of the wins and the accomplishments he's done through executive order because, unfortunately, things aren't getting done the way he had planned on in the House. Now, I think that he underestimated how tough some of these guys would be when he came to negotiation. I mean, President Trump is a master negotiator himself, but I think that he didn't see it coming. He did not realize that these guys, because they've said they have been campaigning on the fact that they were going to get rid of Obamacare. They've talked about it since its inception. And President Trump thought that the day he was elected, that it would be delivered to his desk on the day of his inauguration, that he could have got rid of Obamacare. But I think that what people don't understand is that there are Republicans in different states that can clearly look at it and say that, hey, my governor, and that's Michigan included, our governors want the Medicaid provision because, a lot of these guys look at just the number, the money that's coming into their state, and they didn't want to lose that. Once states become relying on federal money, it doesn't matter if it's in health care, roads, whatever it is, they tend to not want to give that up. And this was no different in this scenario. And so that's put some of these Republican senators in a rough bind with their governor if they're one of the ones that's fighting Obamacare or fighting it and they need the subsidy in their state. And so what you have now is you have Senator Rand Paul, who I hope that I can bring on the show at some point to talk about what I consider his fight in working with the president on getting a health care plan that has free market principles in it and that helps lower the cost. Because I think at this point now, that is the biggest thing that that President Trump can deliver, and something that he's talked about, which is lowering the cost of health care. Now, I've got a clip that I have wanted to play. I was now when you listen to my show, obviously it's from 5 to 7 a.m., but a lot of people aren't up. So what you can do is you can go to whether it's my SoundCloud page. You can actually get it now on podcast on your iTunes. But I was listening to something last night, and I know it's pretty bad. I was listening to some of my old stuff, but I want you to hear a prediction. This was last year, and I was listening to it. It was actually last year on Mother's Day, before Donald Trump had won the nomination. I want you to hear what this gentleman called in and said about Donald Trump, the kind of person he was, what he represented. It's a nice little clip, so I want you to sit back and enjoy it. I want you to see what he said, and let's talk about afterwards. Was he right, and did he call it right with Donald Trump? Let's go ahead and listen to that clip.
Yeah, Wayne, I noticed since I've been listening, Donald Trump's been coming in off and on in all the different conversations, and
can't help it.
I'm a white man, but I come from a mixed family, and I live in Detroit, so I know both sides of the story, white and black.
Right.
And what I've been thinking, seeing Donald Trump, they say Bill Clinton was the first black president. Obama is the real first president. But, when I see Donald Trump, I see a black man.
Oh, wow. This is going to be a great promotional clip. You guys make sure you got that.
Well,
tell me why you see Donald Trump as a black man. I want to hear this. Seriously, go ahead.
Because he doesn't use a teleprompter. He says it like it is.
Keeps it real.
And that's how he's real.
Keeps it 100.
I see about black people. Most white people, they aren't quite real. But black people are real, and Donald Trump is real. And all the other reasons. When I see him come up on that stage when he was in the debates, he was the black man on the stage.
Because he had flavor. He had style. I get it. I get what you're saying. Yeah. I get where you're going with that. Tom, thank you for calling in. And we're gonna talk about a little bit more about presidential politics later. So maybe you can call back in. We can talk more about that. I like to hear that perspective a little bit more, Tom. Thanks for calling in. All right. Well, that was interesting. You make sure we have that clip on there because I've heard some things today. All right, so now we're moving forward. We're going to talk about. But I got me a few. Welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show here on 9:10 a.m. And this is your host Wayne Bradley. I want you guys to listen in real quick on a speech yesterday that Donald Trump gave. Go ahead, listen in.
To our country. She's married to a man who was the worst abuser of women in the history of politics. She's married to a man who hurt many women, and Hillary, if you look and you study, Hillary hurt many women, the women that he abused. She's married to a man who got impeached for lying. He was impeached, and he had to go through a whole big process, and it wasn't easy. He was impeached for lying about what happened with a woman. And she's going to take ads about little Donald Trump? I don't know. I don't think so. And Hillary was an enabler, and she treated these women horribly. Just remember this. And some of those women were destroyed not by him, but by the way that Hillary Clinton treated them after everything went down. So just remember that, folks.
Ooh.
There is nobody that has more respect.
Shots fired. Oh, my goodness. Oh. I think Hillary's going to have to really think twice about going after Donald Trump when it comes to attacking women. And as you can see from Donald Trump, he is not backing down. Ow. Oh, so, all right, look, I think we got Tom back on the line who wanted to talk a little bit more about Donald Trump. Tom, welcome back.
Yeah, I was just thinking, listening to that diatribe by Donald Trump kind of remind me of the last big presidential candidate who was black. Do you remember his name?
Who was that? Who was that?
Well, I'm under a lot of pressure now. But Herman Cain.
Herman Cain. Okay, Mr. 999. Yes, indeed. I've actually met Herman Cain multiple times. So you're really serious about this. You are really comparing Donald Trump to some black men here. And it's because of basically he has a little flavor, a little style to himself. And some swagger. I'm thinking that's what it is, huh?
Yeah, he's got the cool factor, and they called Herman Cain the mouth, and I think Donald Trump fits that description.
Yeah, what do you think about when you're hearing, Hillary Clinton came out with some nasty ads attacking Donald Trump, and as you can see, Donald Trump, I think that is what's going to set the difference between him and any typical political race is that the average politician is probably not going to comment or say anything back or just try to focus on his message, not Donald Trump. If you come after him, you hit him, he's going to hit you back. And I think yesterday is a prime example of that. I mean, he called Hillary Clinton the total enabler. I mean, he's basically saying not only did, obviously Bill Clinton being the womanizer that he was, but that Hillary Clinton enabled this and helped destroy these women's lives. I mean, that is a pretty damning comment right there. So what do you think about that, Tom? Do you think that it's going to be a smart move for Hillary to continue to try to bash Donald Trump on being a womanizer or someone that doesn't have respect for women?
Well, what I noticed about Donald Trump, he doesn't start the fights, but when somebody attacks him, he finishes them. Because I guess what happened was Hillary was talking about all his many wives, and now he's married to some young chick. So,
which I mean, he's nothing wrong with that. I mean, are we gonna hold that against him?
Yeah, it was legal.
There you go. I mean, it's part of the American way, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But Donald Trump, like I said, I don't understand. I think that people are going to try to attack him on things like that and thinking it's going to make him retreat. But he's shown that he's not going to do that. And I think yesterday you had a great example of that. I want to hear from some other callers as well on this because, Tom, you seem to really, dig Trump's style. I want to hear from other callers as well. 313-209-9000. What do you think that his appeal is going to be to the black voter? You said you have a mixed family, so you have a little more insight on this. Give me your take on why you think that he's going to appeal to more black voters. Do you have any family members that have said that they're going to support Trump?
Well, what I see is the border.
Yep.
He wants to tighten that up, and he wants to keep the refugees out. And, that cannot but do anything but appeal to people of Detroit because we can't bring in these low-wage people and compete. I mean, we're competing with these people that come here that will work for nothing.
Right. No, I agree with that. I think that that's the other problem I've always had is African Americans. We get emotional. Take a stance that sounds like we're getting mad. Like, why am I going to get offended or mad that Donald Trump is talking about building a wall to keep out illegal immigrants? And these illegal immigrants, like you said, they come to our cities, they come to our towns. You go to Pontiac or you go to Southwest. These guys will work for, like you said, pennies on the dollar. And that effectively takes a lot of people out the workforce that would love to maybe work in some of these, lower, skilled wage jobs and make a good living for themselves. And I think that is something that Donald Trump is talking about and will continue to talk about that will resonate. So thanks again for calling in and giving that interesting perspective.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And we've got Nigel on the line. Nigel, thanks for calling in.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Yeah, I want to make a comment. As I'm driving through the city of Detroit on Mother's Day.
Yes, sir.
Trump it's all it's political propaganda. Mm-hmm. He can come back swinging, and Hillary can go back. They're gonna go back at it one time after another. But this is what I want to say. Trump is talking all this crap, and I want to know, does his wife know any American history? Does she know any American politics? Because every time they put her on front, What does that have to do with him running for president, though? I mean, quite simply, because you said you mentioned something about the guy mentioned something about he got some young chick, and you know how Hillary brought that out. But yeah, by him running for president, your wife has a lot to do with your presidency. But look at his wife; she's a foreigner. So how is that representing American politics?
If I'm a Democrat, I'm looking at that. That looks to me as like the evolution of America, immigrants, and the opportunities that America provides. So how can you hold that against Donald Trump and his presidency? That if his wife is not a constitutional scholar. I mean, I don't think I've ever heard that kind of.
She don't have to be a constitutional scholar, but is she abreast to America? If if you ask her a question, she act like she don't even know how to talk. I mean, she got to be programmed, but here we go with Hillary Clinton is more articulate. Mm-hmm. So I'm just saying, she's carrying her husband. Yeah, her husband.
Hillary Clinton went to law school. She has her credentials to be articulate on the issues. But I mean, if you look at her track record of leadership, it's not there. And then she's proven also to be quite dishonest. So I don't, if I had to pick and choose between those issues.
Both parties, I say both parties got their problems, brother. It's a neck and neck tie. So every blow that you throw at Hillary, it's a blow throwing at Trump.
Who do you think bounces back? But let's look at these things. Who do you think bounces back better from these things? Because a lot of the stuff that you criticize Hillary Clinton about is factual information. I mean, she's lied about this Benghazi thing. She's lied about the email investigation that's going on right now. And that's why the federal investigators are still looking into that. She has a track record of lying. Donald Trump has been upfront about he's not a perfect person. We know that, but he's been very upfront. And I think that's what American people are tired of is politicians pretending to have our best interests at heart, pretending to be these perfect people, and they're not, and they're dishonest. And Donald Trump is just, to me, he's pointing that out to some of these folks. What do you think? Do you think he bounces back? Don't you think Donald Trump bounces back better from that criticism?
He bounces back. He bounces back with a little firepower, but talk is cheap. Okay. Now, he has his flaws. Now, for one, he's not a politician,
right?
So he doesn't know anything about international affairs.
That's not true.
Big whole thing.
Wait a minute. He's an international businessman that actually has properties and business entities all over the world. And you can't do that without understanding international law, having people around you. If it's not him exactly.
That by stepping on people, too. You step on people to get to bigger places.
There is no one that's elected. There's no one that's been elected as president. There's no one that's been elected as president that hasn't stepped on someone else politically to get where they're at. Obama was a junior senator, so he stepped over someone else to become president. I mean, that's just part of the cream will rise to the top in politics on that issue. So that's nothing to hold against Donald Trump.
Well, let's see how it all plays out. Let's see how this all plays out, how this all unfolds. You know what I mean?
I'm with that, Nigel.
As being a citizen, as being a black citizen, there's more to it than what you're just seeing on television.
Agreed.
So let's get political with it. We need to be learning off of this ourselves because black people don't vote anyway. So that's clear and frank anyway. So
preach.
A lot of people don't know what the heck is going on out here with the politics. So
that's part of the reason I'm doing this show. I'm gonna be honest with you, Nye. That's the reason why I'm doing this show is to give my folks in my community a different perspective. So thanks.
I understand that.
That just shows you that I hate to call myself this, but I was Negro Damas. I saw it happen. I predicted it. at the time I wasn't able to do my victory lap here at 910 right after the election. And that was probably the one thing I missed the most about my 910 family is that I wanted to come in and do the victory dance right here in the station. Because I told people last May, I said, people are going to be tired. And this is before even Donald Trump even got the nomination. I kept telling people, I said, you know what? Donald Trump has got something going on here. I remember a lot of my Republican friends would say, oh, Wayne, you are tripping, bro. There's no way. I said, listen, I don't know. I don't know if he's really the hardcore conservative. I don't know. But you know what? He's got people connecting with him that, before Donald Trump, I'm always a guy that liked the outsider too. I liked Rand Paul. People always say, Wayne, you were the establishment. I was like, I work with everyone, but I want the guy that's going to get something done. And it appeared to me very early on that Donald Trump was willing to say, do whatever, and he wanted to get stuff done. And his message, I could tell, it was resonating with a lot of folks. And I was kind of skeptical to see if he was going to hit the number to win the nomination. But when he did, I said, all right, well, he's our candidate. I wasn't like some of these other Republicans that said, oh, I'm going to quit or I'm just not going to do anything. I'm just so depressed that Donald Trump was the candidate. I said, look, we're facing Hillary Clinton. And to me, that was the biggest weakness of the Democrat Party was that their candidate was someone that a lot of Democrats didn't even want. I mean, they had to use super delegates, a rigged system essentially, to have Hillary Clinton win that nomination. If we would have had super delegates in the Republican Party, Donald Trump probably would not have been nominated. They would have went with their party's safe choice, the same way the Democrats did. And I think that that's the one thing I learned out of that election was that it's a good thing not to have your donor class or the super delegates that the Democrats had to have that in charge of the Republican Party. Because guess what? You can elect if the donors are literally personally selecting their candidate. They can only do so much. They can only spend so much money before, politics requires grassroots activism. It requires people that are passionate about you. And no one really was passionate about Hillary Clinton from the Democrat side. We had people that were passionate then and are still passionate about Donald Trump. For good or bad, you got Donald Trump supporters that would run through a wall for him. When I say run through a wall, they are willing to run through a wall for Donald Trump. There's no one that feels like that about Hillary. Now, on the flip side of that, you still have Bernie Sanders supporters that are willing to run through a wall for Bernie Sanders. So I think that, again, in particular with presidential politics, you want to have someone that connects with the voters to get them motivated, to get them out of their seat, and to get them active, and to get out mobilized. It takes more than just money. You can't buy. Yeah, you could pay some people to go out and knock doors for you. You can pay some people to stuff envelopes. You can pay people to make phone calls. But you want people that are personally motivated, people that'll go that extra mile, people that'll stay later than what you ask them to, people that'll go in the rain and knock doors and explain why they're supporting you. Because I'm going to tell you what, Donald Trump had those kind of supporters in that election. Still does. I mean, like I said, I've had to learn that sometimes the hard way that, you can't even be seen as somewhat criticizing Donald Trump. Now, I think that is not healthy in certain ways, that if you criticize one thing that a person does, that people call for your job and want you to resign and go after you. So that's something we'll talk about. But I hope that you guys enjoyed that. That was one of my favorite clips. I love playing that and predicting that, but I just thought the funniest part was that the guy said that Trump was the black guy in the race. And I get what he was saying, but I just always think it was funny. So I tell you what, we'll be back. We're about to take a break. You're listening to the Wayne Bradley Show on 910 a.m., your superstation. And we'll be back to talk about some more of this after the break.
Conservative radio, giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know.
910 AM Superstation. The best, the brightest, and the bravest voices of Detroit. Don't believe me? Just listen.
Like every time I even consider dating someone, that god-awful, I can't trust anybody feeling is there. How do you ever overcome trust?
You can absolutely overcome trust when you really deal with the issues that caused you to be there. That's why I say to you all the time, I am so proud of you and all the things that you're doing, but you need to sit and be counseled. Period. Because there's some things that you need to heal from. There's some things that you need to really dive into. There's some places that need some addressing. And you're not going to do them on your own.
910 AM Superstation. Giving you exactly what you need. 910 AM Superstation is the voice of the people. Don't believe me? Just listen.
I listen all the time. Great radio personalities.
The new mobile site is incredible. With the visual live feed, this is a whole new level for community broadcasting. I'm also very impressed with the Bible section present both in a written and audio format. 910 AM has really stepped it up to a whole new level.
Tune in, call in, and don't forget to find us on social media.
Mom knows that every mom needs a little rehab.
That's fun to say.
All this week, you can win a Napa trip for you and your 3 besties. Relax at the Meritage Resort, indulge at Spa Terra, and get $1,000 spending money.
I knew you were looking out for me!
You'll also be entered to win $500 daily. Watch for the Mom Word of the Day. Text it to 34490 or go to momweekdays.com to enter.
You shave your legs? I'm not an animal.
It's the Every Mom Needs a Little Rehab sweepstakes.
Mom at 7 p.m. on WADL Detroit. Be sure to catch Doing the D with Alexander Zonchek right here on 910 AM Superstation.
And you know what that means? Lots of cool stuff. Hey, if you love gospel and jazz and Motown cruises and holiday festival concerts in Monroe, we've got it all right here for you.
I want to say thank you for all you do, all you give us. We, your fans, we just love you. And you know,
I appreciate that, Phyllis. Thank you so much. It's uncomfortable to get compliments to do something that you love doing so much, but I appreciate it.
The voice of Detroit, Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. We're the hottest station in town. Whatever you need, it's right here on 910 AM Superstation. The most powerful voices in the urban community. 910 AM Superstation gives you the flip side, the real side. This is our side.
3, 2, 1.
You're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station. We're listening to 910 AM Superstation, Detroit's only urban talk radio station.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up, it's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative political radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up.
And welcome back to the Wayne Bradley Show here on 910 AM, your superstation. Good morning, Detroit. We're now at the 6 o'clock hour. We've been going over some different topics, interesting topics. We were just talking about President Trump and some of his the predictions from last year. I enjoyed playing a clip from a caller that called Trump the black guy in the race, which I thought was an interesting thing. I'm getting news as we, being here early in the morning. It's always good because I get news a little bit earlier and I can give it to you guys. But President Trump today is going to announce a combative new strategy towards Iran, ending the United States' adherence to his predecessor's nuclear deal, but stopping short of, for now, of scrapping the agreement entirely. So he's not going to totally scrap the Iran deal that he had talked about just yet. And it sounds like, once again, he's going to foist the agreement upon Congress, who now will have another 60 days to determine a path forward. So right now, Congress has health care in their midst. They have DACA in their midst. And now they're going to be dealing with Iran. So the president is, continues to put stuff on the table for Congress. So we're going to see if they can handle any of that. So I know I got Dr. Mack on the line, but before we even go to Dr. Mack, because I'm sure he can have some insight on this, I'm going to, because this will be something interesting. I want to hear Dr. Mack's opinion on this. We're going to go ahead and play the clip first of the fireman in Detroit that gave watermelon to the station that he was working in. Let's just hear a quick clip on that.
A firefighter new to the job makes a major faux pas while getting to know his new colleagues.
What he says was a gesture of goodwill was not received that way at all. Fox 2's Taryn Asher here now to explain why some people were so offended. Taryn.
Well, Robert Pattison had just completed the firefighter training academy. He was set to work at Detroit's Engine 55. He says he brought a watermelon with a pink bow to introduce himself to the crew as a nice gesture. But it certainly wasn't taken that way.
Fired before he officially started. Last Monday, 41-year-old Robert Pattison went to introduce himself to his fellow firefighters at Engine 55 at Joy and Southfield in Detroit. 2nd Battalion Chief Sean McCarty calls it a tradition for firefighters.
It's not mandatory, it's voluntary. You come in, you bearing gifts. You might bring some. The usual gift is donuts, okay? But you're allowed to bring in whatever you want to bring in.
And Pattison, a probationary firefighter, decided to bring this watermelon with a pink ribbon on top. We're told some African-American firefighters were instantly offended, since 90% of the people who work at Engine 55 are black.
When you get your first detail to a firehouse, you know pretty much what you're getting yourself into. So I would have to say, it was probably a bad call.
Is it racially insensitive to bring a watermelon into a firehouse?
To some people.
I spoke to Pattison by phone, who claims it was not a joke and he did not mean to offend his fellow firefighters. But he clearly did. Fire Commissioner Eric Jones says the Fenton native was officially discharged. In a statement, Jones says there is zero tolerance for discriminatory behavior inside the Detroit Fire Department. On Saturday, September 30th at Engine 55, a trial firefighter engaged in unsatisfactory work behavior, which was deemed offensive and racially insensitive to members of the Detroit Fire Department. After a thorough investigation, it was determined that the best course of action was to terminate the employment of this probationary employee. In a world where racial tensions run high, some tell me the trial firefighter should have known better. Trout doesn't know if he meant anything by it, but feels it was a bad choice.
Oh, for sure. By far none it was.
The question is, did DFD overreact?
Should he have lost his job over a watermelon?
I don't think so. Between what he did and losing his job, there were a few things that could have been done.
Well, Battalion Chief McCarty goes on to say, although a group inside the firehouse...
Political correctness in America is, I swear, it's going to be the death of America. Political correctness. Now, that is why people did not like, what's going on. I think that's half the reason that Trump won, is political correctness. And I guess we'll talk about that. We could talk about that a little bit, too, with this whole Boy Scout situation. But I'm going to bring on Dr. Mack first. Dr. Mack, welcome to the show today, sir. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Wayne. Wayne, I wanted to address something that you said the other day when Larry was calling you.
Okay.
And your statement to him was, well, what's Trump done? What's he done? What's he done? What's he done? So I want to tell you three things that are very suspect, which could lead to his impeachment.
Okay.
And once I tell you these and I give you the information, when I hear you say anytime in the future, what's he done, what's he done, what's he done, that's really going to say a lot more about you than it does about him.
But that's assuming that I'll agree with you on these three things.
Well, wait a minute, Wayne. Wait a minute. Like I keep telling you, when you ask a question, what's he done, and I give you the law, you can say, well, I just don't accept the law. That's one thing, all right?
Or that's your interpretation of the law.
To say blindly, put forth a counter-interpretation other than I just don't believe it. that's what the fake news is right there. When somebody hears something and says, oh, well, no, that's not true. So if I tell you this is Friday, oh, well, no, that's not true. That's not true. So that's a dynamic I want to get away from. Now, 3 things, Wayne, I want you to understand. What's he done? What's he done? All right?
Okay.
Get a pencil and paper.
I got it right here in my hand. I literally have the pen and paper.
Okay, good. Look up Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8, United States Constitution, Wayne. What that's known as is emolument clause, the emolument clause. So what the heck is that? All right. What that clause says is that anybody, like the President of the United States, all right, it is an impeachable offense for someone to accept monetary recompense or gifts from a foreign dignitary or foreign state, all right?
Right.
Without the permission of Congress. So in other words, if Wayne Bradley was elected President of the United States, all right, and the Queen of England says, oh, well, you're a nice guy. Well, look, I tell you what, we're going to give you some jewels out of the Tower of London here because you're nice. You can't accept that, Wayne, without the permission of Congress, okay?
Right.
So if you've got a series of Wayne Bradley gas stations, let's say, and you get elected president, all right, and you've got people from Saudi Arabia, England, France, whatever, that want to curry favor with you by buying gasoline at Wayne Bradley gas stations, and you still own those gas stations, you can't do it. That's unconstitutional. So now, when you've got Donald Trump, and these are facts, Wayne, these are facts.
Right.
When you've got Donald Trump, a billionaire that's got holdings primarily like office buildings, hotels, or resorts all over the world,
right,
and you've got someone who says, I'm not going to divest my interest in those, I'm not setting up a blind trust, what I am going to do is say, well, my son or my daughter can handle that, but I've still got a financial interest in it.
Right.
And you've got people like from Saudi Arabia that come and say, like Trump's new building in Washington, D.C., for example.
Post
we're
going to hotel, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Beautiful facility.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna get hotel suites and all that office space in there, all right, because we want to be able to show Donald Trump and his family like we're with you guys. That's an emolument, Wayne. Okay, so that's an issue that can lead to an impeachment, which is why it is so important to have seen Donald Trump's taxes so you could actually find out what is his interest in all that stuff. What is it? His taxes will show that, all right?
Okay.
So if it is shown that he is getting an emolument from a foreign dignitary, foreign Saudi Arabia, for example, that can lead to an impeachment. Okay. Any question about what I just said?
No, sir. Go to the next one.
All right. Okay. Second one. Now, in terms of this Russia investigation, all right? Now, if it is shown that whether it's Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Ted Cruz, whatever, if it is shown that a foreign nation, Wayne, was working with any candidate, all right, in any way to influence an American election, Wayne, that is an impeachable offense.
Right.
That's an impeachable offense. So if it is true that Donald Trump, and I don't know if it's true or not, the investigation is going to have to ferret that out.
Right.
If it is true that Donald Trump is in bed with foreign entities such as Russia, that's an impeachable offense. Number 3, when Donald Trump says, I'm firing Jim Comey, all right, and I'm firing this guy because, he's just not doing a good job.
Right.
I know you don't like to understand history, Wayne, but let me say a little bit about Watergate.
Oh, you are so condescending sometimes, Dr. Mack, but I love it. Go ahead.
Wait a minute, Wayne. You're the one that told me I was only 3 years old when that happened. I don't know anything about what you're talking about, young man.
I know. I like to mess with you. But go ahead. I'm listening.
Well, okay. Well, no, you're not messing with me. You're messing with yourself. So what I'm saying is that a man by the name of Richard Nixon happened to be a Republican, by the way, Wayne.
Yes.
Richard Nixon, all right. He wanted to fire the special prosecutor that was investigating Watergate, right?
Right.
And he ordered the Attorney General, a guy named Elliot Richardson, to fire this man's name was Archibald Cox, special prosecutor. Richardson said, Mr. President, you want me to do something that's an obstruction of justice? I'm not doing it. So, well, get out of here. You're fired, all right? Then he tried to get the Deputy Attorney General to fire Archibald Cox, okay, a man by the name of William Ruckelshaus. Ruckelshaus said, Mr. President, you want me to do something illegal? I'm going to do it. Fired him. Then he got Robert Bork to fire Archibald Cox. what I'm saying is, if it turns out that Donald Trump, his real reason for firing James Comey is that James Comey wouldn't stop the Russia investigation, that's an impeachable offense. That's the same mistake Richard Nixon made.
Right.
It's called obstruction of justice.
If that, there's a lot of ifs here. I got to give you that. If all these things happen, yes, that could be an impeachable offense.
Yeah. So yeah. Well, yeah. And everybody is entitled to due process. Donald Trump is no different.
Right.
All right. So I happen to be one of the people who feels that will bear out, but time will tell. Time will tell. Two other things very briefly.
Yes, sir.
I am one of, if not the first, black Eagle Scouts in my county. All right.
Oh, interesting.
You know, and my son was a second, some 20 years later.
Okay.
I feel very strongly that the Boy Scouts should maintain being Boy Scouts.
Amen to that. Amen.
Particularly being an African American male, all right, our community has been decimated by the absence of African American men, all right, adults, to be able to mold some of the kids, all the kids in our community. And so, in this regard, perhaps some of my progressive liberal brothers and sisters will say, "Oh, well, something's wrong with him." But I've lived it, Wayne. I've lived scouting from Cub Scout all the way to Eagle, all right, you know, and beyond. And I'm telling you, that bonding that took place, particularly as a young African American man,
right,
you know, in those environments,
going to those camps, learning how to do things with the, you know, with your scout masters.
Right.
It's funny. I was having this discussion yesterday. One of my friends who went to UAD High School, he was a Cub Scout. We all grew up together, but he lives in D.C. now. And he was actually scared to even make any kind of proclamation about that on Facebook because he was the scout leader. He was like, I've got to be careful about what I say here because, I am the scout leader for my troop and my son's involved. I'm like, well, if I were you, I'd step up and say no girls allowed in my troop. And I'm not saying it in that form, I guess, but the thing is, you're right that there is a value to certain things being for the boys. And certain things, and again, like you said, your progressive friends, I have some of them as well. And I jokingly said, well, there goes something else that the feminist movement just destroyed. Boy Scouts. Can't even have that to ourselves anymore. And, maybe that's an over-exaggeration of it, but it's not, to be quite honest to me. It seems that there is a functioning Girl Scouts unit that girls can be involved in. And if there's activities that certain girls want to do, why don't they instruct those Girl Scout units to do that as opposed to making them join the Boy Scouts, Dr. Mack?
Well, I agree, and I'm telling you, man, like I said, I've got a love of scouting, man, and my Eagle badge, and I don't say this in a grandiose way, it's on display for me to see every day because I'm so proud of that. Fewer than 2% of all Boy Scouts become Eagle Scouts. I don't know if you know that or not, but fewer than 2%. So, only 2 out of 100 make it that far. So that's something to strive for and something to be proud of, and I am. So, like I said, here is where we break perhaps a little bit with my progressive brothers and sisters. But I'm telling you, I've been on 20-mile hikes in the woods, and I'm telling you, man, having a co-ed hike like that when it comes to going to the bathroom and stuff, that's real problematic, man.
Amongst other things, yeah. I mean, that's, to me... and we're talking about the teenage group here, too. We're not talking about, like, Brownie Scouts and Cub Scouts. We're talking about sending 14-year-old, 15-year-old, teenage girls to be in a troop with teenage boys. Just seems like a recipe for disaster. Out in the woods, hiking, it just seems like a recipe for disaster. I wouldn't want to have to insure that group. The liability on that is going to go sky high. And not to mention just the boys in the troops, but some of these scoutmasters. I wouldn't. Again, I just think that is, to me, seems like a risky proposition. And I understand we want to include and be inclusive, but to me, it seems like the smarter solution would be to add something to the regiment of the Girl Scouts that included the activities that some of these, maybe some of the parents of these daughters feel like it's missing. Maybe they, whatever the Boy Scouts are doing activity-wise, maybe some of that curriculum or some of those activities could be brought over to the Girl Scouts. But I just don't understand how they think that's a good idea, Dr. Mack.
Could be, and I want to see these other 2 points rather quickly here.
Go ahead, sir.
That's not saying that I disagree with women in the military. I think that's a different situation when you're dealing with adults.
Right.
Okay? When you're dealing with adults. If a woman can fight and pick up a gun to defend this nation, I'm not going to stand in anybody's way. So I know it can be a fine line, and people may criticize me, like I said, my progressive brothers and sisters, but having been a scout and know that experience that I had, I'm an old school guy when it comes to that.
You know what I was about to say? I was about to say that exact same word, Dr. Mack. But you know what? A lot of the feminists would call you. They would say that's sexist. They would say that's sexist, Dr. Mack. You just used the word old school, but that's just another code word for sexist. You don't want it. You don't want women to progress. And so that to me, that's where it kind of like it just goes too far, and where I think sometimes the commonality of as a black man in that way, you're looking at it like, whoa, that's a bit much. I'm still with you, but that's a bit much right there. So I just want to thank you for calling in. Now I do want to quickly address your the annulment clause, which I was familiar with, but I think again these are all scenarios that if one they challenge the president on this. I think with the annulment clause in particular, I think that's something if he continues to make enemies in D.C., I think that could be something they could challenge him on. I think as long as he's not in that rough patch where people are just trying to take his head off, I don't think that's one. Russia, if they somehow can connect Russia with President Trump's staff, then that would be an issue. I think that there's already proof that Russia was buying Facebook ads and buying advertising space and things like that. But to me, I would think that both candidates would have some kind of concern because Hillary Clinton has a history of somewhat working with Russia. I just think that in the end of the day, Russia, the United States, some places in Europe, we all have interfered in other elections. I don't think that they may necessarily have worked with the campaigns, but I think that we've interfered with campaigns because we want a certain candidate. There's no doubt that America's done that. When we want a candidate that's easier to work with, we have pushed literature to those countries. We've done all kind of things. So I just don't. It'll be interesting to see. I don't deny the fact that Russia wasn't involved in a way. I just don't know if they were coordinating with the campaigns. And so that's the issue I think that they have to deal with in terms of if he's done anything wrong or not. And
right,
to me, those are the issues they're going to have to deal with. I think that if he's doing a good job with the economy and things of that nature, no one's going to challenge him on the annulment clause. Now, if he does something to tick someone off, because this has been from day one. They were like, oh, he's not signing off all his businesses. He has a financial stake. His sons are running it. If it was something illegal, I think that the Democrats would have tried to impeach him already, on these issues.
Well, Wayne, remember now, impeachment originates in the House of Representatives.
And it won't happen under
Republican.
Well, that's what I say. He'll have to make some more enemies before that happens. So I don't think that's going to happen yet.
Well, it may not. It may not.
And one last question here for you, Dr. Mack. I don't know how much you keep up with this local races here. What do you think about Mayor Duggan and Senator Coleman Young's race for mayor here in Detroit?
Well, once again, with most of the people that call the station, I'm not from Detroit, so I'm not able to vote. All right.
Okay.
In it. But I think that Mayor Duggan has got a substantial lead. Okay.
Right.
And I don't see anything other than some October surprise that is going to change that. I think the fact that you had 13-14% of the people vote in the primary, I think that's indicative, man. And the truth of the matter is, when you've got that low of a turnout, most people are satisfied, man.
There you go. Can't be too mad if you're not showing up to change the vote. So, Dr. Mack, thank you for calling in today, and I appreciate talking to you, getting your insight. And I want you to enjoy your weekend. I will be here on Sunday from 1 to 3, so enjoy your weekend, sir.
Thank you. Appreciate you, sir. Same to you.
All right. We're going to go to Michael, who's been waiting on the line patiently. Michael, thank you for waiting on the line. How you doing, sir?
Hey, no problem, bro. I like to weigh in on the city of Detroit. But first thing about Donald Trump. Now, I voted not so much for Trump, but I voted against the Democratic Party.
Okay.
And like I said, I'm not a personality person anymore. I'm a platform person. And when I look at the Democratic Party platform, there's no way that I can ever vote for Democrats. I mean, you have Venezuela, right? You got Bernie Sanders talking about let's do Medicare for all. California, for example, found out that Medicare for all in California would take their budget, which is like $180 billion. It would cost them between $330 and $450 billion. Doing a debate with Ted Cruz said to Sanders, your plan is so expensive that if we confiscated anybody who made more than $1 million a year, just took all of their income, it would only pay for your plan for the first 4 months of the year or 5 months.
Right.
So Venezuela is proof they have more oil than Saudi Arabia, but the socialists took over, and now you had a lady on a viral video eating a cat because they can't even feed themselves. So I voted for Trump to stop the socialism that's been taking over our country, all right? And so Donald Trump and I've gone up and down with him. I think he's an amoral businessman. I think he's an egotistical malcontent. And so there's some things that I like about him. The Supreme Court justice, roll it back, the EPA. But
Right.
I don't like his protectionism. I mean, I'm a laissez-faire, Walter Williams type of economic
You're a real
system where
conservative. You're a real conservative.
I really believe protectionism just protects the consumer from lower prices. Now, they talk about, Trump can be impeached. I think Alan Dershowitz laid it out the best case for why that's lunacy. He said the only way you can impeach Trump over Russia is you have to have evidence that Trump actually either gave Russia how to hack the DNC or some substantial information. But if Russia hacked the DNC, Trump's campaign was under no requirement to say where they got the information from. And the irony, Wayne, is in this election, Trump is called a racist, right?
Right.
But Hillary Clinton campaign said, let's use the fact that Bernie Sanders is a Jew against him because some of our voters will vote for you, Hillary, and against him as a Jew. So we found out the racists were the Democrats, right?
Oh, I mean, Hillary Clinton was the inventor of the birther movement, in 2008 when she ran against Obama. So a lot of people forget about that, but it was the Clinton campaign that began to question if he was ever born in America, not Donald Trump. Not the Republican Party.
And the Hillary Clinton campaign actually colluded with the Ukrainians, and they paid that MI6 agent for that false dossier. And now we find out the very dossier that he fabricated that the DNC paid for was the very thing they used to get the FISA warrants against Manafort. How about that?
Right.
So we know the Democratic Party actually did collude with a foreign power, but they don't want to talk about that. So
it doesn't fit the narrative that they try to sell right now. Yeah. That's all it is. It doesn't fit the narrative.
Now, if I can hit the city of Detroit, I'm from Detroit. I was born and raised in Detroit, but I forget. I think it was Ice Cube who just said, when you grew up in the hood, what you need to do is make your children visitors to the hood. One lifetime in the hood is good enough, so let them go back and visit, but don't give them that same experience.
Right.
So that's why I don't live in the hood. But I really wanted Benny Napoleon to win over Mike Duncan, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm not a big racial guy, but coming off of the bankruptcy,
right,
the city of Detroit ran a budget deficit. If you go back to the last year of the Archer administration, would have been 1999. So from 99 until the bankruptcy, they had a budget deficit every year. And coming off of the bankruptcy, finally giving them clean books to work with, I really wanted Napoleon to win because I didn't want people to say that Mike Duncan came in and fixed everything. When the reality is,
all the credit
he
for everything.
finally had a clear book.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Let's be honest here on this one, Michael. Do you think that businesses and the private sector would have been as quick to come back to Detroit and invest with Benny Napoleon there as they are with Mike Duggan?
Yes, sir, and I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
If you want to know what people like stadiums and they like water. I don't care who you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you have water in the entertainment district, people will come back to that. And so that's why you're seeing the boom in Midtown and downtown, because Detroit, by any stretch of the imagination for the amenities that it offers, is way underdeveloped.
Right.
So I believe that the business community they're not back in Detroit for altruism's sake. They're back in Detroit because they can actually make money. And once you abated Detroit's high taxes, you brought a lot of people back because they know I can make a buck, right?
Right.
So Benny Napoleon would have been able to elicit the same type of fervor and had them move into downtown. And this is the thing
I got to be honest, Mike. I don't know if he would have got I think that there is a certain level, not because he's white, but because he had the experience in the private sector himself that made more CEOs more comfortable of coming back. Because, I mean, let's be honest. You could have a mayor that could come in there with a clear slate, and within 2 to 3 years, he could mess all that up. I mean, that could happen. And so I think that there's a certain segment. Now, maybe it is him being white plays a part in it, but I think that him being from the private sector made a lot more people comfortable than say how Coleman Young is in that situation now. But Michael, I appreciate you calling in and giving me some insight.
Let me just make this one point, right, bro. So my point about Coleman Young versus Mike Duggan, this is the last one I wanted to make, is that Coleman Young's people should just come flat out and say, this is a black city, we want a black mayor. If they would say that, I would respect them. They're trying to prop this guy up, right? Mm-hmm. Residency was abolished by the state legislature. Can you ask Coleman, did you pass a law to try, or did you at least sponsor a bill to get residency back? The high tax rates in the city of Detroit. Did you sponsor a bill?
He didn't do anything. He hasn't done.
He hasn't done nothing.
That's the part that really gets me going, Michael. Is he did nothing up there. When I look at his literature, he puts on as like a legislative accomplishments the fact that he was able to get state grants to nonprofit organizations. Like, that's not a legislative accomplishment. So, me and you are on the same page on that, Michael. And I appreciate you calling in today.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, and enjoy your weekend. Hope you can listen in on Sunday.
Yes, sir. All right, brother. Have a good one, too.
All right. Well, we've got a couple callers here on the air, and we're going to come back after the break and finish up some of these conversations. But I appreciate everyone that's calling in. The calling number is 313-209-9000. We'll be back on the Wayne Bradley Show.
It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. It's the Wayne Bradley Show. Conservative Political Radio. Giving you what you need to know. Listen up.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of the people. Don't believe me? Just listen.
I listen all the time. Great radio personalities.
The new mobile site is incredible. With the visual live feed, this is a whole new level for community broadcasting. I'm also very impressed with the Bible section present both in a written and audio format. 910 AM has really stepped it up to a whole new level.
Tune in, call in, and don't forget to find us on social media. Every weeknight at 9 p.m. is something new and something fresh.
This is Todd Corser, and I want you to check out my show. Listen in and call every week as we explore government and hot topics. Tune in, raw and uncut.
This is Attorney Michael Schwartz at 910 a.m. Superstation, and you can hear me every Tuesday night starting at 9 p.m.
Hello, Detroit. This is Attorney Crystal Crittenden, and please tune in to my new show, The Truth Matters, on 910 a.m. Superstation.
Hello, everyone. I'm Charlene Mitchell, your host of Mind Your Business. Listen to my show live every Thursday from 9 to 11 p.m.
I'm Reverend Maya Lisa Reynolds, inviting you to listen to Mama Maya Speaks Friday evenings from 9 until 11 p.m. discussing education, motivation, and inspiration on Superstation 910 a.m.
Different names, different voices, but the same energy. 910 a.m. Superstation, the voice of Detroit. There's always something new to talk about, and 910 AM Superstation wants to have you covered from every angle. So we're adding some familiar voices and strong opinions to the best talk radio station in town.
I'm Republican, from Detroit, and I'm black. Yeah, that's right. Different perspective, different view. Don't miss the Wayne Bradley Show on Superstation 910 AM.
From 7 to 9 a.m., we'll have the editor for the Detroit News, Nolan Finley.
This is the most volatile time in the country in my professional career. And, that generates a lot of news, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Followed by the one and only David Alexander Bullock from 9 to 11 a.m.
The People Show, man, we bring it to you live and in full effect.
The always insightful and controversial Steve Niebling from 11 a.m. to noon.
And I do want to hear from you what you want to hear from me.
Bankalay Thompson from noon to 2 p.m.
This is the platform where we delve into the facts and informed opinion. We ask the tough questions.
The Cliff Russell Show from 2 to 4 p.m.
I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care.
Spud from 4 to 6 p.m.
Detroit's only African-American talk station, 24/7 Spud, is here.
Rochelle Riley from 6 to 7 p.m.
I want to stress that this adventure is about life in Detroit and Michigan.
And Cliff Woodards from 7 to 9 p.m.
So this is it, y'all. We are the only talk radio station for African-Americans in this market.
910 AM Superstation, the only African-American talk radio station in town. There's always something new to talk about, and 910 AM Superstation wants to have you covered from every angle. So we're adding some familiar voices and strong opinions to the best talk radio station in town.
Hi, I'm Rochelle Riley, and I'm so glad to be joining the family at 910 AM Superstation. We're going to be talking about it all Monday through Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Don't miss it.
910 AM Superstation, the voice of Detroit. Be sure to catch Doing the D with Alexander Zonchek right here on 910 AM Superstation.
And you know what that means? Lots of cool stuff. Hey, if you love gospel and jazz and Motown cruises and holiday festival concerts in Monroe, we've got it all right here for you.
I want to say thank you for all you do, all you give us. We, your fans, we just love you. And you know
I appreciate that, Phyllis. Thank you so much. It's uncomfortable to get compliments to do something that you love doing so much, but I appreciate it.
The voice of Detroit, Sundays from 5 to 7 p.m. If the conversation is hot and the lines are jammed, give us a try at 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601. That's 313-778-7600 or 313-778-7601.
910 Superstation is off the chisane.
910 AM Superstation is the voice of Detroit, and we want to hear what you have to say by any means necessary. 910 AM Superstation is the voice of the people. Don't believe me? Just listen.
Great programming. Inspirational.
I know there's some good info on 910 AM Superstation. The latest promo for the 4 to 7 slot at the end says, the Goon Squad's on speed dial got me listening to reruns up to the dial.
OMG. A-listers on the radio.
So when you think of 910 AM Superstation, we want you to tune in, call in, and don't forget to find us on social media. There's always something new to talk about, and 910 AM Superstation wants to have you covered from every angle. So we're adding some familiar voices and strong opinions to the best talk radio station in town.
I'm Republican, from Detroit, and I'm black. Yeah, that's right. Different perspective, different view. Don't miss the Wayne Bradley Show on Superstation 910 AM.
From 7 to 9 a.m., we'll have the editor for the Detroit News, Nolan Finley.
This is the most volatile time in the country in my professional career. And, that generates a lot of news, a lot of stuff to talk about.
Followed by the one and only David Alexander Bullock from 9 to 11 a.m.
The People Show, man, we bring it to you live and in full effect.
The always insightful and controversial Steve Niebling from 11 a.m. to noon.
And I do want to hear from you what you want to hear from me.
Bankalay Thompson from noon to 2 p.m.
This is the platform where we delve into the facts and informed opinion. We ask the tough questions.
The Cliff Russell Show from 2 to 4 p.m.
I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care.
Spud from 4 to 6 p.m.
Detroit's only African-American talk station, 24/7 Spud, is here.
Rochelle Riley from 6 to 7 p.m.
I want to stress that this adventure is about life in Detroit and Michigan.
And Cliff Woodards from 7 to 9 p.m.
So this is it, y'all. We are the only talk radio station for African Americans in this market.
910 AM Superstation, the only African American talk radio station in town.
Hello, Detroit. You've won my heart. Your Renaissance and waterfronts give you a flair of your own. Irresistible you. Hug and kissable you. You're alive with so much feeling, and I will always be there for you. I will say a little prayer for you, and I will always care for you. Hello, Detroit.
Oh, yeah, that makes me feel good. Every time I hear that in the morning, get the morning started. Good morning, Detroit. This is Wayne Bradley on 910 AM, your superstation. You're listening to the Wayne Bradley Show every day from 5 to 7 a.m. 5 to 7 a.m. Start my morning off with you folks. All right, so we got a couple calls here in the queue. We're going to take this call from Olaf. Olaf, thanks for calling in.
Mr. Wayne Bradley. What's going on, my brother? The only Republican I ever had love for. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right. How you doing this morning, brother?
My man. Yeah, I just want to holler at you real quick on some local politics.
Go ahead. Let's do it.
Harold's race. Yeah, I'm not going to talk about your man Trump today. He's the gift that just keeps on giving, man. I tell you. This guy, that's your man, though. That's fine and dandy, though. No, but when it comes to local politics, Duggan, he's my man. I mean, this guy, he's been in for 4 years. He's done a pretty decent job in terms of, everybody says, oh, he cares about the downtown and midtown. No. He's hooking up the neighborhoods, too. I stay in Brightmoor, and let me tell you something. It's a much drastic difference than it was 4 years ago. I could tell you with the blight, with the abandoned homes, with the trash pickup, even with the snow plowing in the wintertime, it has dramatically changed. It's not because I'm on Duggan's team or this and that. I'm telling you guys,
being honest,
absolute truth.
Right.
I'm being totally honest. I am in Brightmoor, and I see it. And that's not Brother Coleman, but, why would you hand the keys over to a dude right now that's, he's got a little experience down in Lansing.
He's never ran Lansing. He's never ran an organization. I think that's what I keep telling people. Like, if he had this resume of leadership that, Duggan has, I would probably say, okay, we'll give him an opportunity. I just don't see where, if this was a job, if I was the manager and I'm looking at resumes on who I should hire, I'm looking at the resume and that's all it is. If I didn't know if he's black or white, I'm just looking at resumes. How can you make that decision?
That's right. Look at the resume. That's the bottom line. It's not a white and black thing. But see, a lot of blacks in Detroit want to make it a white and black thing.
Well, we've been taught that through politics, and especially in politics, we've been taught the white versus black dynamic, and it's usually at the statewide level with our governor, because it doesn't matter if it's a Republican or a Democrat. When something doesn't go right, state legislator comes back home and says, well, it's these white folks that's not making something happen for us. It's not me. I'm fighting for you. But, these white folks, they're making it hard for us they got their foot on the neck of the Detroiters when you go up to Lansing and blame it, and so you grow up in Detroit thinking that everyone outside Detroit has it against you. They don't want to see you succeed. And don't get me wrong, maybe in certain areas or maybe certain people that might feel that way, but as a whole, the most intelligent people know that Michigan can't be Michigan without a successful Detroit. And so
that's right.
I think that unfortunately we've been taught race and identity politics probably stronger than most cities, but Detroit, and it's not unusual for large urban metropolises to be taught this, because that's why you have mostly black elected officials in these cities. And whenever something goes wrong, they don't want to ever take the blame. They blame it on the white man. That's either the state rep, the governor, or county executive, whatever they can get their hands on,
senator,
to not blame it on themselves. And so there begins the natural distrust of city folks and sometimes Caucasians. We just don't. They don't. The distrust has been built through political identity politics. So. Thank you, Olaf, for calling in and giving.
All right, we'll kick it Sunday, man.
Definitely, I look forward to it. I'll be on 1 to 3 o'clock, my brother.
My man, I'll holler at you there. 100.
100. You have a good weekend. All right, we're gonna go to. We got Reggie. Reggie's been waiting on the line. Reggie, thank you for calling in. Reggie.
Hello? Yes, I'm here.
So thank you for calling in and listening to the Wayne Bradley Show. What did you? What were you calling in to speak on, sir?
Okay, I think I was misheard on the line there. My name is Ricky.
Ricky, sorry about that. Ricky, welcome to the Wayne Bradley Show.
That's all right. I have. Well, I was just calling in. I saw your post on Facebook. It said call in, so I called in and just wanted to say hello and have a happy Friday, everybody.
Well, thank you, Ricky.
What are we talking about?
Where are you calling out of? Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from beautiful.
Calling from where?
Paris.
Paris, France?
Tennessee.
All right, I was about to say, okay, I got some, every now and then I get guys from the UK that'll call in or something like that, so hey, I appreciate you calling in, and thanks again for listening in. I love my folks calling off of social media, so thanks again, Ricky.
I just had a thought. I heard you talking with the last fellow there, and you were talking about how there's a racial component, and that reminded me of one of the. There was a book called the Elements of Power.
Okay.
Morning, Wayne.
Well, you know what? I'm going to bring. Guess who just walked in? Now, this is how you know I'm getting to the big time. When Nolan Finley just walks in on the Wayne Bradley Show. Welcome to the show, Nolan Finley.
Well, you're doing a heck of a job, Wayne.
Thank you, sir.
Walked by the studio waiting for my show to go on at 7. Saw you sitting in here, and I thought you reminded me of a story my family tells about my uncle in Kentucky. He was out plowing one day with an old mule, and she was not doing anything he wanted her to do. So he unhitched her from the plow and walked her back out the road, and every step of the way he was whacking her with a willow switch.
Uh-oh.
And he passed by the house. My grandparents sat on the porch, and they said, "What are you doing, Howard?" And he said, "I'm warming up old Belle."
Oh,
and I thought,
my
man,
goodness.
There's Wayne Bradley in there warming up our audience this morning.
I'm definitely getting them ready.
Beating them with that good conservative viewpoint. I appreciate it.
I try to. I try to get folks up and ready to go. Yes, indeed. So, we were talking some of these issues, and I guess perfect person to ask about some of what's going on here locally with these with this race. And we were talking about the racial component and how that always becomes an issue with the Duggan and Senator Young race. And for me personally, I just don't think there's a resume of work that compares. What is it to me? Is the race issue, is it that big in Detroit that could be a problem coming?
I really don't. I really hope not. I mean, I hope people judge these folks based on their resumes and what they've accomplished. I mean, they've had 4 years to look at Mike Duggan, and they can rightfully ask, did he get the job done or isn't he getting the job done? And then they look at Coleman Young and they can say, does he have what it takes to get the job done? I mean, just because someone isn't getting everything done you want it to do doesn't mean the other option is going to get it done or get it better. I think that's what people have to look at in this race, Wayne. I hope they are. You know, it's been a quieter race than I expected, hasn't it?
I don't think he's raised any money to make any noise.
You've got to have money to make some noise. No?
I think that if he had been raising some money, there'd have been a little noisier. But I don't think that he's raising the money to make the noise.
And you know, you can say, well, okay, Duggan's got all the corporate money lined up, but if you look at Bernie Sanders, for example, Bernie Sanders didn't have any corporate money. He got his money $5, $10, $20, $25
folks
at a time in Detroit.
Goodness, those lines! I tell you, See what happens when you bring a celebrity on the air.
Lord have mercy. They all waiting to
see what happens
to get a hold of me.
See what happens when you bring a celebrity on the air here.
But you know what I'm talking about, Wayne? I mean, you can raise money from a lot of small donations, and he doesn't even seem to be getting that. So it does speak to the level of enthusiasm and support here.
Man. All right, I got distracted there for a moment.
Okay.
Paget just walked by, distracted me there. Nolan. All right, let's see here. We're gonna take a couple calls here because I think it's got to be because of I got celebrities in here that people are calling on the show.
They just people wrapping up before they head to work. Man.
All right, let's go with let's see. Larry's been on the line the longest here. Larry, thanks for calling in.
Wayne Bradley.
How you doing, sir?
Wayne Bradley and Nolan Finley. The two most racist people in the city of Detroit have ever seen.
They won't be putting up any statues to us.
You and Nolan Finley are the biggest racists this city has ever seen.
Good Lord!
And
wow, that's pretty.
Alfred Cobo just breathed a deep breath.
The reason why you two gentlemen have shows back to back is just for that reason that you've been attacking Coleman Young all day. And you made the statement to say.
Coleman Young. Listen, Larry. If you want a response, I would just say to you that Coleman Young or any other politician any other person, black, white, red, yellow, brown, who gets into politics can't hide behind their skin.
No.
Your record, your performance, your statements, all up for criticism. That's the name of the game.
And Larry, how can I be racist as a black guy? The first thing they teach you at the liberal universities is that I don't have the power to be racist, Larry. Come on. All right, let's go to the next caller here. Let's go to Willie. Willie, thanks for calling in today.
Good morning, WB.
What's going on, brother? How you doing?
My favorite Jesus James. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Man, I hear all the stuff that's going on, man. First of all, man, I like what you're doing, man. I don't think you're a racist. I think you're just doing what you need to do.
Thank you, my brother.
You done broke into the other side. The only person I like that's a Republican, man. So let's just get that straight.
Thank
you. You can never be racist because racist is a person that's keeping somebody from their divine promise.
There you go.
Okay.
I don't have the power.
So what I wanted to say about all this stuff that's going on is people is reading too much into text. They're reading too much into words, and they're not feeling enough. That goes for whoever is into politics, who's ever into the right wing or the red wing. They don't feel enough. If the feeling is wrong, then they shouldn't be doing it. If the feeling is right, you should go for it. You feel what I'm saying? This is the problem. Everybody reading all this stuff now. The internet, they gave all these people all this information. They downloaded this information, and they're not even using it. They're just talking about it every day. So it's rhetoric. People not doing the right thing by other people.
Right.
It has nothing to do with race.
Well, Wayne, I gotta pause there. If I could leave you've done heated me up too much. I got to go. I got to go meet with my crew, but I'll be on at 7. I just want to drop in and say,
well, thank you.
This is a hot booth.
You're the person that got some of these folks all lathered up here, Nolan. So he'll be on soon. You guys can call back and attack Nolan Finley in the next 10 minutes because he will be on soon. But I'm going to go ahead and take Willie. Thank you for calling in, and I do agree with you on that. The folks are trying to pin this the wrong way, and I hope that you can listen in on Sunday because I'm here every morning, 5 to 7. I rarely get all these folks calling on a Friday. It's a Friday morning, so I do appreciate folks.
I seen your post, man. I was like, dang, man, you know what? People they going the wrong way with this, man.
Well, man,
nobody is treating people right, really, though. You know what I'm saying? People in position of power, they need to respect their power because God put them there.
Well, man, I appreciate that, man. From a fellow Jesu Giant, I got much love for that, man. So thank you, brother, for calling in this morning.
I ain't go to Jesu. I just to come up there and kick y'all butt in basketball.
Oh, so that means I must have been giving you that work, whatever school you went to. Then that's what all that is. Okay.
All right, man.
Thanks a lot calling in, brother.
Thank you, man.
All right. So we got we're gonna go to Chris, and then we're going to go to Davis. Chris, my good friend from Lansing, how are you doing, my friend?
Oh, alive and well, my brother. How are you?
I'm doing good. I've just been called a racist this morning. You know, so it's not even 7 o'clock, man. I've got people riled up this morning.
It's a day ending in Y, my friend. This is what happens.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So, you know, we've talked about a few different things here today. I guess I can ask you, because you're official politico here. What do you think about what Donald Trump is doing with the health care solutions right now, that he's kind of taking it out of Congress's hands and decided to do his own executive order here?
The biggest problem with executive orders is that the first thing the next guy can do when he takes over, and there will be a next guy, because, you know, that's the freaking Constitution right there.
Right.
He'll just change it. He'll just flip the switch, man. First thing every new president does once he steps in is he changes the Mexico City policy, which is something about funding foreign abortions.
Right.
First thing Clinton did, changes it. First thing Bush did, changes it. First thing Obama did, changes it. First thing, it's the same thing. In order to make something permanently better, you have to have enough people voting for it in Congress. Otherwise, it's just going to be changed back, and you can't trust it for the long term.
Right.
It's not a long-haul solution, just a short-term fix, which is fine for a few people, but not fine for everybody long enough.
All right. I got one last question for you, Chris, before I get off the air here. Are we, what's going on with these girls and the Boy Scouts? Do you think that's a bit of a crazy idea? I just think, you know, as a father with a daughter, I wouldn't send my daughter at 14 to a Boy Scout troop, but do you think we're good?
I don't think they're, near as I can tell, they're not integrating so much as where they're providing a system of recognition for achievement in the organization. But I'm not clear yet. But I don't think it's as bad as it seems. I think.
Well, see, there you go, man.
Check on this,
that shows how progressive shows how progressive you've gotten over the years, Chris. I like that. It's no problem.
I am not a progressive. I'm just saying, and I could be wrong here, but I think all they're doing is recognizing achievement. I'm not sure I approve or not.
All right, well, I'll tell you what. I got one last call before we get off the air. We're going to talk about this more on Sunday, because I feel like this is an issue we need to cover a little bit more. We'll get some more research on it, but we'll talk about this more on Sunday. Thank you for calling in this morning.
Eagle Scout. I would know about these things, I would think.
I understand. We're going to do some more research on it and talk about it some more. Thanks for calling in, my friend, and I will talk to you maybe on Sunday. All right, we got one last caller here. We got David on the line. David, thanks for calling in.
Oh, thanks, Wayne, for taking my call. Coleman Young is a joke and an embarrassment. This guy can't even speak proper English, using the terms "we be winning." This is oh my goodness.
I'm gonna have to play that song maybe on Sunday. We be winning. I'm gonna have to play that one.
Play that. Because I want to hear it, you know, and also play the Buffalo Wild Wings promo that he did.
He did a Buffalo Wild Wings promo as well. Good.
Yeah, remember? Steve used to play it all the time. I loved it. It was a speech he gave in Lansing, I guess at the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I guess he was criticizing some of the things the emergency manager brought into Detroit, and he made the quote that these individuals are the equivalent of him going to Buffalo Wild Wings. He said he would never leave Buffalo Wild Wings. He was comparing that to these guys who would never leave.
Interesting.
And I guess he loves to eat Buffalo Wild Wings. He's the promo guy for Buffalo Wild Wings.
So he gave Buffalo Wild Wings a little free promo there. Interesting.
Yes, he did. And, you know, bring up that we be winning and, you know, in the Buffalo Wild Wing promo. I would love to hear it so other Detroiters can hear it and see how this guy is a joke. I don't know who these people are. I tell you what, he is embarrassing the legacy of his father. This guy is a total embarrassment. You know, his father, he was witty and made some eloquent statements. And I did love Coleman Young, the mayor's profanity. He would use it in a unique way.
Very skilled and unique at using his profanity at the right times. I definitely give Coleman Young Sr., the mayor, credit on that. But listen, David, we got to get out of here. My show is wrapping up for the day. If you can, make sure you're listening this Sunday from 1 to 3. And we're on every morning from 5 to 7 a.m. So thank you for listening in today. All right, I want to finish up the show real quick. I want to thank everyone that called in today. I want to thank Nolan Finley for stopping by real quick because he went and got everybody all mad and excited for the last 15 minutes here. And that one gentleman that said I am one of the racists here. I thought you got me wide awake and laughing this morning. So thank you for that comment. And we're on every morning from 5 to 7 a.m. Here on